Alright, we are back here working on my red Jeep again, and it's a familiar sight because the hood is open. I am going to repair the onboard air system. The soft line that I had coming right off the compressor into the manifold block just wasn't going to be sufficient, so I have a piece of hard line over there that I'm going to replace it with. I have assembled the fittings in the hard line over there so I could sort of plan my route. There's going to be a flare fitting here, and then the line's going to come down, go down, do a coil to try and cool the air a bit, and then there's going to be another flare fitting that goes to a barb fitting, and then a short piece of the soft line to allow it to have a little bit of wiggle room for when the engine rocks back and forth under hard acceleration or, you know, other purposes. I mean, the motor mounts are still kind of rubbery, so there might be a little bit of movement. But yeah, so that's the goal. Execution is going to turn into another situation. We'll get there when we get there. Alright, the first part of the journey is a union that comes right off the high pressure side of the compressor. Nothing fancy here, just got a squisher on down there. I got the Teflon tape on there nice and good. Tail's going the correct way. I'm just going to crank down on this nice and tight. Okay, I have decided what it is I'm going to do. So I have my copper pipe prepared. The first thing it's going to do is do a 90, obviously, and then I'm going to try and make a coil to, you know, bring this down to a manageable size, but still allow this much copper pipe to dissipate some heat. So I'm going to bring you inside and hopefully my plan will work. So here's where I'm at. This is going to be what I wrap the pipe around. Now, oh, fuck you. I did a little bit of research on how to bend this type of pipe into a coil. It is definitely possible, but you just need to have something to support the pipe so it doesn't kink, and that's where the salt comes in. Now, it is possible to also use sand, but the sand would have to be completely dry. Otherwise, you know, like I'm doing, salt does work. It doesn't actually take a whole lot of salt to fill a pipe of this size. Had blocked off the end of the pipe with a piece of paper towel, then put tape on it, which I'm going to do up on the top as well. And then I'm just going to make a coil around the Bondo can. Hopefully I won't end up being in your way too much, and hopefully I can swing the piece of copper around and you won't get in the way. Alright, we are back outside, and the coil mostly worked out like I wanted it to. I do have a bit of a coil, and I do have two flare fittings. I'm not necessarily going to show you how to do the flare, because if you've done brake lines, you know how to do a flare. These are the flare nuts that are going to press it against the flare fitting. The salt worked perfectly, and then to get to this bend here, I bent it across the pipe with an extra set of hands. It did take 2 times to actually get this right. I will call the other version a practice, and I'll show you in a second. So this is the first attempt. The coil worked out fine. It's a little bit bigger than I liked, and then when I tried to do this bend, I wasn't using a pipe. I was just trying to bend it in place, and it ended up getting all kink. So I said, fuck it. Made another one and used a small pipe, or it was I think it was a 2-inch pipe to get the 90-degree bend back towards the air compressor for under the hood of there. So what's next? So what's next is getting the flare fitting inside of this union. This is the flare fitting plus the barb fitting that's going to go on this side here, so then I could go back to a soft line briefly, which I'll get into in a second. But I'm going to get to the other flare fitting Tefloned up and in there, and then I guess actually install that thing over there. I'll think about that for a second. So the barb fitting is going to go get converted back to a soft line, because again, the engine will rock back and forth under acceleration and startup and whatnot, so hard line to the manifold block won't work, because the hard line will break or cause damage to itself or some of the fittings. Not going to hurt the engine or anything like that, but that'll eventually break apart, and or the manifold block will fall apart or something. So that's why I still need a little bit of a soft line there to take up the rocking of the engine a bit. So we'll come back in a minute, I suppose. Okay, I'm all set to install my thingy manometer. I got the this fitting all set, so I don't have to worry about it when it's under the hood or anything. This I'm just going to have to get on there here in a second and pump air. Well, assuming after I get the soft line on there, but yeah. Let's see here. Call it there, I suppose. Just gonna adjust my coil so it's pointing the right direction a little bit. When you're working with this soft copper line, it is possible to do minor adjustments by hand without it, without it having to be internally supported. It is possible to do that. You don't have to have salt if you're just making minor adjustments here or there to make it point the right direction, or make it so it's not rubbing up against my distributor cap like it is right there. Let's see. All right. Alright, I can accept that. That's good. Here I am looking at it from above. This is the high pressure side of the compressor. Goes through the coil to dissipate as much heat as possible. Then from here to here it's going to make a soft line. So it's going to end up making a little bit of a loop there. But it's in there, nice and snug, not going anywhere. The only thing I'm going to do is zip tie up this coil wire here so it's not rubbing up against it. Other than that though, we are a-okay. Okay, I have reattached all the lines, and I am ready to test it. Spoiler alert, I already did. So yeah, let's I guess see how it works. Well, as you can tell, it does work. There's not really much I could say right now. I'm just going to do some leak testing. There's some leaks that have developed in the system that I can hear. There's some air pissing out of my front air connection. I mean, it's, exposed to the elements, it happens. It works good though. I can't really, complain or say too much. I mean, I've only tested it a few times now. But, everything seems to be fine. I don't know if you can hear that on camera or not, but there is hissing air coming out of this connection here, so I don't know if it's the Teflon tape or the rubber line itself that's loosened up and failed or whatnot, but this is the one that's exposed to all the elements, so it's understandable in that sense. But other than that, the system works good. I'll have to work it in a few times and then go through and leak test all of these fittings. This end is definitely pretty hot, pretty uncomfortable to touch. Like, you can grab it for a second, but any more than that and you'll start to feel the heat. Here is much cooler, you can kind of hold it normally. If you use the system a lot, it will eventually heat soak this coil and probably get pretty hot out here. I don't know if it'll ever get hot enough on this end to melt off my line over here, but so far it's holding up. So we'll see the longevity of this, version of the system, and continue on. Next project on this particular Jeep is the exhaust. The exhaust is pretty much been kind of cobbled together since I've owned it, and I've owned it for about 10 years now. When I first bought it, it was in good shape. It had an aftermarket catback system installed on it, and that held up fine, but then that fell apart, so I cobbled it together with a different muffler and a new tailpipe, and now that's starting to fail on me. So I will have to at some point go from the exhaust, or the catalytic converter, back again and just start fresh with a factory system at that point. But other than that, Jeep's doing good. Can't really complain. So if you like this, like my Jeep, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, tell me what you like, don't like, I don't know, ask questions. Make sure you check us on the Facebook too. Link is in the description. Get out there and do something.